Check this out, guys. Rolling in. You think it looks a little low in the front. It's because it is. So a ball joint in parted company with the spindle. And yeah, it's not going anywhere in a hurry. The people were very, very lucky in that this happened in a supermarket car park. A lady was driving it and she was just pulling out of her parking space and bang, the bottom arm just let go. So yeah, we're going to try and fight this thing off the transporter and see what we can do. Right, we got this thing inside. A bit of messing around, but you know, like it's basically a three-wheeled Firebird. We got it inside, got it on the rack, got it in the air. Now, this is what failed. The mystery little bit is that like the threads have clearly stripped off, and I'll try and get this as close as we can. The threads have kind of stripped off this. Not sure whether it's going to focus very well. So yeah, what's really kind of weird is that the cotter pin or split pin, you can see what's left of it still inside the joint. So exactly how this nut came off is kind of a bit of a mystery. Whether it just pulled straight off, pulled the threads out of the middle of the nut, I'm not too sure. I haven't seen the nut. Apparently the nut was there at the site where it came off, but I haven't seen it. Something's happened to it in the meantime. But, you know, long story short, we had to replace the ball joint, which I've done. They're a press-in ball joint. They're kind of just, now this is a ride tech suspension, this is all very trickle, adjustable coilovers, torsion style anti-roll bar, sway bar, all tubular arm, put the big Willwood rotors on it, disc brakes on it. So, yeah, this is a nice bit of kit. And fortunately, these are just regular ball joints which are available like Napa, O'Reilly's, whatever. So we got some of those in fairly short order and got that one pressed in. What we are going to do is, just because, we're going to replace the ball joint on the other side. Strictly precautionary, and it could be argued we don't really need to, but this failed. And honestly, if this had failed at interstate speeds, it would have been catastrophic. Like the wheel, you know, this is propped up here with a bit of wood, but there's really nothing to stop. Once that ball joint lets go, this is just literally flying in the breeze. It'll just go wherever it wants. You know, so, you know, drag's just going to take it back like that. You know, you're going to try and do a left turn, a sudden left turn at interstate speeds. It really would be genuinely catastrophic. So, in good conscience, you know, kind of got to replace the other side just in case. So I'm going to put that back together, and we'll set up camera on the other side, and I'll show you how we actually pushed in here a press-in ball joint. So I'll show you how we get it out and put it back in. Then we'll have a look around underneath and go for a drive. Okay, so we got this obviously blown apart, the ball joints apart, got all this upright strung back out of the way. Now it's time to get into it with the ball joint remover. These are press-in ball joints, as I think I've said, and not everybody's got a kit with this kind of heavy-duty setup in their home garage, but typically the places where you buy the ball joints, the Napas, O'Reilly's, places like that, will have a loaner tool, and hopefully you can get a good, decent set off them. And then it's a matter of just getting the right spaces and rings, and on this one we need a little ring here to push on the middle of the ball joint, small enough that it won't interfere with the frame, the lower arm. So that pops on there, that pops over there. Then we need a big enough sleeve and cup setup that will fit nicely over here, because this little edge is the ball joint, that's the lower arm, so we need to be pushing on the lower arm. So that fits up into there, and hopefully you don't drop it. But you know, that's the magic of Hollywood. Get that run up into there. Right. Now you're going to need a decent sized impact and some air. You can do that up by hand, but you're going to be working hard, like really hard. So, all right, gonna make some noise. Get it the wrong way. And it'll suddenly let go. You hear a crack and it'll let go. That's still in there tight. We just need to switch to the slightly longer sleeve. So let me grab that. Yeah, this can be a little bit of a challenge, getting the right size pieces that you need and not dropping them again. Shouldn't take much now. Third time's the charm, right? There we go. And it all comes raining out. There's our ball joint. Didn't give up easily, but it did give up. Okay, got my new ball joint. I've had that in the freezer. I like to do that. It just shrinks it a tiny bit, you know. It all helps. They're very tight getting back in. Put a little bit of grease around the inside there. Helps it slide in. That'll just go up. You've got to get the right size puck. Go under there and push nicely on the outside of the ball joint. Then this setup's going to pop over here. Put that up in there. This is can be a bit of a trick, I'll be honest with you, but you'll get it, you know. You just get it tightened up, make sure everything's sitting where it's happy, and hit it with the impact again. To get the compressor kicking in again, that's okay. Compressor catch up for a minute. They are hard to put in. And if you've got a press, like a 10-ton press, then you can take the whole arm out and put it in with the 10-ton press. One, I don't have a 10-ton press, and two, this way you don't have to take the arm off. So I'm sure it won't pick up on camera, but you can visually see the gap, you know, close up until it touches. And just rail it off. There you go, ball joint in. So now all we got to do is just put this back together, tighten it up, cotter pin obviously, and this old girl should be good to go. Okay, now I was thinking, you know, the next shot was not going to be this, it was going to be like backing out and going for a test drive. But I was just like buttoning it down, greasing the ball joints, and I'll zoom in and see if you can see this. But I noticed, I'll try and get it, this wheel stud was kind of hanging. Let me try and just get some light on it a bit more. If you look at the head of the wheel stud, it's not in properly and it's wiggling, and there you can see it turning. Now I thought, gee, I better have a look at the other ones, and look, sure enough, spinning. All 5 are loose, and I'll bet you anything the 5 on the other side are loose as well. With these Woolwoods, they're screw-in studs, and you know, if you take the time to read the instructions on the kit, which they come, you know, the instructions come with every kit, it says must use red Loctite, and it gives you a torque setting. I think it's 85 pounds. I have to go back and check. I think it's 85 foot-pounds of torque to torque these up to, because you've got a steel stud in an aluminum hub, so you've got different expansion rates. So there's actually a science behind the torque setting and the Loctite, so these things don't wind out. Now the fact that that was kind of half an inch backed in, the wheel nut would go on it and it will tighten down, it will pull on the threads, but as soon as, if that decides to walk out a little bit, like just, you know, an eighth of a turn, suddenly you've lost the torque on the wheel nut, and then it can work out, the wheel nut can work off, and you know, we all know how that's going to end. You know, you don't want to be a, you know, it was 3-wheel on the other side from a ball joint. And I'm not trying to scaremonger here, I'm genuinely not. This shit concerns me. Like people should be doing this stuff by the book, and they don't. It's frustrating. This could have ended badly. So now, unfortunately, what we got to do is pull the caliper off, pull the rotor off the back of this, so we can get to this and torque it up with a torque wrench, because you can't get into this. So yeah, there's another wrench. Yeah, so that's a little bit more work to do, and what concerns me is a little bit is how's the rest of this car been put together. It's a really pretty car, it's got all the good shit in it, but there's a couple of red flags already. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to check and check every spanner I can, every bolt I can get a spanner on, and go from there. So I'm going to get stuck into it, guys. Right, we've got the those wheel studs all fixed, you know, pulled apart, torqued down, Loctited. I was wrong about the other side. That was perfect. The driver's side, they'd been Loctited, torqued. Yeah, they weren't going anywhere. So seems like maybe someone just had a little brain fade and forgot to do that passenger side one. But we caught it, which was good. So right now, let's have a quick look around underneath and have a look in the engine bay, and we'll go for a quick test drive. Right, let's go. Get this camera pointed the right direction. So yeah, as you've seen, you know, she's the Ride-Tech suspension in the front with the coilovers. It's got a 383 in it now, a small block Chevy. The Pontiac, the 400 Pontiac's long gone, but fuel injection, you can see the little O2 sensor up there. Got a nice big 3-inch exhaust on it, quite well done. Nice big H pipe. Now the details on this car are what's jumping out for me. This is the Woolwood e-brake system here, and they've hand fabbed up the brackets, you know, to get everything lined up, so not just screwed it to the floor. Everything's done with cap screws. not tech screws. Brake lines, things like this are all nicely done. You know, again, little cap screws. And yeah, the brake lines are, you know, it's all nicely done. Someone's put some time and effort into those little details, and that's what makes for a nice car. Again, all this stuff is just cleanly routed, cleanly done. It appears to have its original floor pans in it. You can see, maybe you can see, these are factory spot welds. So they started with a very, very good car when they built this. There's, you know, I really would have expected to see, you know, repaired or replaced floor pans in this, but it's not. Moving on to the back, we got more Ride Tech here. Ride Tech, you know, coilovers, Ride Tech 4-link. We've got the big Willwoods on the back. Yeah, we've got the 4-piston calipers. We've got an independent caliper for the e-brake. That's all nice. It's had a little bit of repair work in the trunk floor, and I don't know whether you'll see it. You can faintly see a line along here. That's where they've done a little join. Now that's just black paint over it. They didn't bury it in undercoat to hide the work. Like that's pretty good. Looks like we've got some little welds here that aren't factory, so yeah, I think it might have had a little bit of rust in the trunk floor, and that's really about it. That's pretty darn good. So this is a very nice car. Very nice car. All right, well, let's drop it down, have a look in the engine bay. Here we have the engine bay, and much like underneath, everything is done very nicely. It's like all your brake lines are all running, you know, kind of parallel and just laid out nicely. You've got actual bolt-on heater hose fittings rather than hose clamps. Everything's just laid out nicely. The wiring's nicely wrapped, held in place. Your AC lines, again, nicely laid out. And that's your hot water or heater tap for the HVAC. The fuel pump, fuel regulator, fuel filter, all just laid out nicely. Like someone's put a bit of time and a bit of care. The power, it's a little dark, but down here you got your hard line power transmission cooler lines going into a crimped bolt-on fitting here, not a hose clamp, not relying on a hose like a little fuel line hose clamp to keep your transmission fluid intact. You know, it's all that little bit extra that makes such a huge difference. I mean, it's time consuming to do, admittedly. Holley EFI tucked under there, which in this case seems to be running really well. So yeah, all right, well, let me get this camera on the windshield, see if we can't make it stay there this time, and go for a little drive. Let's see how this baby goes. Fairly high speed idle at the moment. It's got the hood mounted tack that's working, so that's always very cool. Can't imagine having a Pontiac and not having a tack, hood mounted tack. Now the engine's a 383 stroker. I'm going to say it's a healthy 383. At least it sounds that way. It sounds very angry. Sounds like it wants to go, but it's completely cold. I've just pulled it out of the shop, and we did an oil change on it, and it's tracking down the road. You can't see it, unfortunately, because I've got you stuck on the windshield, but you can let go of the steering wheel. It's not pulling left or right, which is good. We do have some weird wear on that left front tyre where the ball joint failed, which could be a carryover of whatever caused that to fail. But having 2 new lower ball joints, it's going to go in and get a wheel alignment, and yeah, this thing's nice, very positive in the steering, very positive. You drive it much more like a modern car than you do an old one, so it's fairly low geared, I'd say, too. Got a fairly low rear end on it. Oh, you get a feel for an engine when you're driving it, and you can tell this thing wants to go. You really can. So, but we got to get some temperature into it. So be patient, guys. We'll give. I mean, this is someone else's car, so we're not going to hammer on it, but we'll give it a little taste. Brakes are working nice. Oh yeah, it's definitely got a little bit of get up and go. Definitely got a bit of get up and go. This is a nice car to drive. Well, we've done about all we can do to it for now. I'm sure we might see this one back again. Just routine maintenance and stuff. It's a new customer. So, yeah, but I think we've got the suspension nailed down. Yeah, it's running good. Serviced, ready to go home. So, yeah, another win here at Kiwis. And fun little drive. Alright, well, you guys have a good one. We're going back to the shop, park her up, and give the owner a call, tell him to come get it. Alright, see you guys, have a good one, take care.